All right, good afternoon, everyone. You are here for the third and the last presentation of this developer track. This one will be mainly focused on discover the website module in Odoo and how to develop on the website. So we'll cover basically three topics, discovering the website module, and see how we can develop on the website and use the website framework, and finally see how we can customize our development. As the previous presentation, you will have the entire code available on GitHub. If you type mge-odoo OXP 2018, you will have the entire code, which is smaller than the previous presentation. All right, let's discover the website. So in Odoo, you have a module available in the community edition, which is called website, and which makes possible to create static pages easily and to manage the content available for your user. So in the previous one, you have created a controller and a page that is accessible through the portal. But now we will use the website to make this page easily editable by, for example, the website designer of the company, and also use themes and stuff like that. So to make your page website editable, we will use the same example as the previous ones. It's quite easy actually. There's three small things to do. So what I mean by website is like this top banner, the page management, like the footer, and so this is actually the page that will look like afterwards with the translation management and stuff like that. So to make it available on the website, you have to make your module depends on the website module. So in the manifest file, you just have to add a website as a dependency. So when you install your module, website will also be installed and all its dependencies. The second thing to do is the previous controller. You have to modify it a little bit just to have the key website equal true that you see there. So your page will be available on the website. And last things to do, but not least, you have to modify the template. So before we used the portal layout, and now we use the website layout. The website layout is a bit different. As I mentioned, you have the top bar, you have the footer, and you will be able to edit it. And that's pretty much it. So now you have this page, and you are now able to edit it. And you have here a list of building blocks, and you can like very easily customize it by drag and dropping the building blocks, and it modifies your page. So you don't have to write the entire HTML like you used to do before. You can let your website designer modify your page and stuff like this. Yep. So you have a website up and running. If you want to create new page, like you just have to do this, create a new page, and you have a new page. You can start drag and dropping stuff like a title, pictures, and now you can create static content like this. But you can also, as I showed you before, use your dynamic content page and add static content. So very easy to do and very useful for letting the other people of the company modify a website without the needs of a developer. So with the website application, there's a lot of new feature available. You can, as I mentioned, create new pages. You can also install themes modules. These modules are basically a preset of colors, building blocks, and design parts that you will be used for your website. You have, like on the App Store, you have, I know, like more than 50 available themes that you can use for your website, and much more. So you will have plenty time to create any website that you want. I have a small video to show you because I'm not the best designer in the world, so maybe this is like a 13 seconds video to show you how we can use the drag and drop editor to create a website in like a few seconds. This video came from last year, I think. So like basically in a few clicks you can add videos on your website, add new text, add new pictures, change the pictures, like all website software that you can think. But this has the very useful that you can integrate this with the page that we have created before, and so you have like a mix of static content and dynamic content. So in like a few seconds you have this website up and running. So that's for the discovery of the website application. It is. Nice. But here was for the website part. But we normally all in this room are developer, and we still want to develop on the website. I know if you guys know JavaScript, but the development on the website is mainly based on this language. Normally, like in the previous year, development on Odoo was mainly based on Python, but this is changing, and JavaScript is the JavaScript part is growing, and website is mainly based on JavaScript. So as I showed you, you have like all these building blocks here that you can drag and drop, and these are presets of building blocks, and the content is predefined, but for our use case, we would like to create a new building block. This is the one here. And when you will drag and drop this snippet on your page, it will show you like the 3 plans in promotion. And these building blocks will be available and will be draggable on every new page that you create. So you don't have to like copy paste the code and the behavior in JavaScript. You will drag and drop the snippets, and you will use it directly. So the building blocks is basically a reusable piece of code without having to duplicate the code entirely. It's drag and droppable on the website, and basically its content is defined in QWeb view, like you've seen previously, but the behavior is defined in a JavaScript module. The idea of the following 10 minutes is not to make you capable of writing your own like by yourself. It's basically just to show you an overview of what it's possible to do. And if you are interested in it, do not hesitate to take a look at the documentation on odoo.com to see more example and more of what is possible. So as I told you, that's the use case. Drag and drop a new snippet that will display some plans in promotion on your website. Like here, I drag and drop it, for example, here. And when I save, on my website, I will have my 3 plans in promotion with the description and the price. and you just have to create a new page, drag and drop this building block, and you're good to go. So to do so, two parts. So for a building block, as you've seen, you have this part on the left when the menu with all the building blocks appears. So we will have to add all building blocks in it. So it's basically a picture and a text. To do so, very easy. Create an inherited view and add a special tag called Snippets with the name of your snippet, and just a thumbnail which is a link to this image. So now we have our building block available on the left, but we will still have to define its content. So what will be displayed when drag and drop in it in the page. To do so, as I mentioned, you have to create a template in Geubelle. The template is very simple. It's actually just a container and a row. And this template will be extended later on with our JavaScript module. The only thing important here is to use a unique class called the selector that will be available to match, or that will be needed to match your JavaScript instance to your DOM in the page. So each time this special selector will be available on the page, you will have an instance of your JavaScript module that will be created, and they will be bounded. All right, so we have created the basic structure. Now we will create the JavaScript module. So this is just to add the snippet in the registry, but that's a detail. All right, so this is what looks like a JavaScript module. So it uses the JavaScript framework, and it's basically a small instance of an object which will have some basic functions. Here you have the life cycle. Init will start, destroy. Init and destroy are quite obvious, but will start will be used for fetching the data before that the snippet is rendered, and start is called to render the template. As I mentioned previously, the selector here is meant to bind the JavaScript instance to the DOM in the page. So first thing to do, your snippet needs to know which plans to display. So it has to fetch them on the server to display them. This is what this part is doing. So basically we do an RPC to the server to fetch the plans. We just call the module that will fetch. Search read is like basically the basic method to fetch data on the records. You can set a domain. For example, here I set promo equal true. So I'll only fetch records that are in promotion. And then it will return with deferred the results of the call. So now, inside the instance of the snippets, we will have the plans, all the data of the plans we want to display. And afterwards, we have to, as I mentioned, extend dynamically the basic template that we had. Just before, we had container with the row, and now we want to add the data we just fetched into the row. So this is what is done here. The XML dependencies is just an attribute that specify where your template definition is, and you say, all right, in the row I will put my small template with the results I got from the server. And now this is what it looks like. So the container was here, and we fetch 3 plans. So a call is made to the server to get the image, to get the price, to get the description, and we render the snippets. So quite basic, but quite powerful, because with in 5 seconds, if you want to create a new page and get this widget, you just edit it, drag and drop, and you have your new snippet on the page. So quite nice. The third part is a bit like an options. Like in your snippet, in your use case, I know if you've seen it during the demo, it was quite fast, but on every building blocks that you drop, you have this customize item here, and basically you can select options on the snippet, the building block that you have just created. And for our instance, we would like to add an option to say the number of plans we want to display. So for example, in one page I want to display 4 plans, in another page only 2 plans. It's a very basic example, but it's just to show you what we can do with options. Yeah, so that's the idea. When you are in edition mode and you click on the snippets, you will have customize, and you will have the number of columns and number of plans here, and you will be able to say I want only 2 plans, and then only 2 plans will be available here instead of 3. So that's the idea. It's like an option of the snippet. To do so, again, a bit of QWeb and a bit of JavaScript to describe the behavior. Here, the option is mainly QWeb template. I won't enter into the details, but basically it's just a drop-down menu. We use Bootstrap here to describe the HTML. A drop-down menu with the number of plans we want to display. So this template actually defines this small menu here. So quite simple. And now that you click on one item here, we would like to set the limit of plans on the JavaScript instance that we have created. And to do so, we need to link the snippet to our instance. To do so, we used some tags here on the HTML, which is the data-js, which is the name of the snippets, and again the selector to bind them. This is another object type of the website framework, which is called snippet options. Before we were using snippet animation, and now we use snippet options. So again, create a new extension of this special class with the same idea in it, start with start. And we'll use here a method called limit, that when the user clicks on the link with the number of plans, will set the limit on the instance. So we also need to bind this instance, which is the option, with the instance of the building block. And actually, with this special key that I showed you before, this one, data.js, they are already binded. So in the option instance, you have a reference to the building block instance. And this is through the attribute here, $target. So when setting the attribute limits, when you click on it, you actually set the attributes on the building block instance. So now the only thing to do is, because your image is already set, so you have the information on the instance of the building block, you just have to, when fetching the plans, set a limit, and this is done here. So when fetching the data, I just set a limit with the number the user have chosen, and that's it. So here, result, you only get 2 plans, and same code as before. You put them in your templates. So very easy to do, very powerful. Create a new building block draggable on your website to reuse it on every page. And as I see you, you want more, and that's okay because we have more. With the website, actually the options that I've shown you, these are available not only on the building blocks you have created, but on every element on your page. So if you want to put options on, I know, the footer or a title, you will be able to do so. It might be useful for, I know, the things that you want to develop, but we use it on our site. We have an effects API, which is, you may have seen them in the video, but you have, for example, like fade in, fade out, parallax, and stuff like this to put effect on the content of your snippets. And we have a lot of available snippets already in the website, and by each theme you install, you have also more snippets available. Also, we have an amazing on-the-fly editor, which can be very useful when editing a page in production. I will show you just now. So, like, you have this page, and here you have an HTML and CSS editor. So you have here all the views that we use to display the page. And for example, if you want, I know where am I, but here, if I want to add a title with my title, you just have to write, and it appears here. So it's very interactive. You can see your changes directly without having to update your module, and that's it. And if you have messed up your customization, you can also reset them. And with the HTML editor also comes the CSS editor. So for example, if you have so this is again all the CSS files used to render the page. And here, for example, if you want to put a background color red on the page because you have good taste like me, you will have on the fly the modification. So that's one of the things that comes with the website module. And finally, your endless imagination to create the website you want. So that's it for this presentation. Thanks for listening, and if you have any questions, do not hesitate. Thank you. Yep, yeah. You see? In Odoo 12, we just comes from Bootstrap 3 to Bootstrap 4. So yeah, so if you use it Odoo version 12, you will use Bootstrap 4. The question is it possible to control the Bootstrap version? I mean, yes. You always have the possibility to modify the assets and add any file you want in the assets. So as I showed you before, you have here all the CSS and HTML files that are used to display this page. But this is actually like a view where we have added all the link and script files, and you can modify them to put your own version and remove the Bootstrap version. So yeah, it's possible to do so. Yes? Right. Okay. So the question is, what about user rights? So basically, on your website, you will have one type of user. You will have users that do not have any accounts on your website. So for them, for example, here you want them to have access to the plans in promotion. So you will need to modify the access rules of your model plans to say these plans are accessible like in read access to everyone. But for example, if you want these plans to only be available for certain users, you will have to make them create an account on your website, and then you can, for each different user, you can set groups on them, and for groups you can say, okay, this group can have access in reading and writing, others for deletion and stuff like this. So the access control is either for everyone, either for specific users, either for specific records. So for example, you can say you can only see plans of your company, but not if you have like multi-company, you can only see plans of your company, but not others. Or you can only see, I know, employee for your department. So these kind of rules can be implemented. And you can also have rules by users and by groups of users. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Like for example, here sorry, I didn't understand the question at first. Here, for example, I have to create a new page. I'm the administrator of my database, and I have another user of my database, which is, for example, the one that it decides. And when it creates the page, by default is puts as unpublished here. And after review, you can say, okay, I publish them, and then only users on the website will be able. The page will only be available if you publish it. So you have like unpublished, publish tag flag on each page. Yes. That's a good question. Actually, I'm not part of the website development team, but Quentin is, and he just mentioned that it's possible to do so with because basically pages on your website are just views, records on your database, and views are just like every other record. It's a model and record instance, and you can put record rules on these pages. So you can say, for example, all these pages are can be modified by this group of users and all this page. But it's possible, but it's not very user-friendly actually. But it's possible. Yeah, last question? Oh, it's done. All right. I'm done here. Thanks for your attention. I hope you liked it. This was the... Thank you. This was the developer track. If you have any interest on the website parts, I think it's like 30 minutes. Frédéric Gilson is giving, like right now, Frédéric Gilson is giving a presentation on the website specific details. So give a look in the main theater. Thank you.